The story begins with Grandpa Max being told the story of the Indian dream catcher by his old friend Wes Green while Max and Gwen browse to look for anything interesting. According to Navajo legend, the dream catcher's web protects the dreamer by holding the nightmares in the center, while the good dreams travel down the feathers to bless the person sleeping. When Max thought it was boring, his attention was quickly swept away when he saw a young girl dancing in the middle of the street. Wes tells them that she's his granddaughter, Kai Green. Grandpa Max seems to remember her as a toddler, barely walking. He's shocked to find her now much older, performing a ceremonial Navajo dance. Ben fixes his hair when the dance ends. Hoping to get Kai's attention, suddenly the clouds darken the skies and Gwen wonders if Kai did the rain dance instead. When the storm finally hits, Grandpa Max leads the group to seek shelter in the van. Ben is so captivated by Kai that he gets left behind in the rain when a lightning bolt hits the ground next to him and a beastly alien appears before him. The alien werewolf runs off, but the gang still finds themselves in danger as they see an incoming flash flood from the opposite direction. Everyone heads for higher ground, but Kai is caught in the flood's strong waves and she's carried along with it. Thinking it was the best time to impress her, Ben attempts to transform into Ripjaws, but the Omnitrix doesn't seem to work. Instead, Ben decides to help her himself as he runs on the floor towards her and jumps on top of a barrel. Max catches up to Kai and asks her to grab his hand so he can pull her up to the barrel. Suddenly, they notice that they're headed straight for a wall. So Ben asks her to jump and hold onto a roof. Kai thanks him for saving her, but wonders why he still has her hand. He lets go and blushes. Meanwhile, the alien werewolf is seen ripping off the town's satellite receiver upon a mountain. Max and the others retreat to the town's museum when Wes claims he didn't expect he'd actually see one. When Ben asked what he meant, Wes explained that the alien monster they saw was a Yinuldushi, a Navajo werewolf. He thought it only existed in folklore, but now that it's here, he fears its presence is a sign of pure evil. Wes claims he must find and tranquilize it before anyone gets hurt. When Kai offers to help, Wes stops her, claiming that only braves can head out. He explains that although the times have changed, their traditions have not. Gwen tried to speak up, but Grandpa Max stopped her, explaining that they must follow their rules since it's their land. Ben notices that Kai is bummed out that she has to stay behind, so he thinks he'd try to cheer her up. Gwen believes he's acting suspiciously and suspects Ben has a crush on Kai. Ben at first denies it, but he cannot hide it from her. Outside, Wes checks the surroundings to track down the werewolf when Grandpa Max comments that this reminds him of the time they tracked down a Yeti up in the Himalayas. Ben was shocked to hear that Wes used to be a plumber. They later track down the werewolf up the mountainous terrain where they find it scavenging through metal. Wes aimed at its back with a tranquilizer, but the werewolf heard him from a distance and dodged. It then charged at them, and they all fell down a cliff. Ben activates the Omnitrix and attempts to transform into Stinkfly, but he transforms into Wildvine instead. Forced to make do with the transformation, Wildvine holds onto a boulder at the top of the cliff and catches Wes and Grandpa Max from falling. Wes was shocked to see Ben transform, and Grandpa Max admits that he has some explaining to do. Wildvine heads back to the top and confronts the werewolf. It sneaks up to attack him from a vantage point, but Wildvine is a step ahead of him and captures it instead. The werewolf struggles to break free and it bites through the vine. Wildvine retaliates by dragging it underground. As they return to the surface, his alien transformation is up and Wildvine reverts into Ben. Defenseless, the werewolf attacks him and scratches his Omnitrix. The Omnitrix starts acting up, glowing yellow, but Ben dismisses it as he doesn't understand what is happening then. When Wes and Grandpa Max catch up to Ben, the werewolf flees from the scene. After the werewolf is gone, Wes and Grandpa Max return to Gwen and Kai to make sure Ben is okay. When Ben starts bragging about how he used his powers for good, he starts scratching his body. He even asks Gwen to scratch his back, to which she refuses. Ben sits on the ground as he can't stop scratching when Kai notices he has turned blue and become hairy with sharp claws and pointy ears. Wes tries to make sense of what's happening to Ben, to which he claims that although the werewolf bit him, it didn't break through his skin when he fought it when he was Wildvine. He explains that the Yinuldushi can create others in its image. When it does, its followers seek to destroy those closest to them. When Grandpa Max asks Wes how to turn Ben back, Wes explains that the only way to reverse the transformation is to stop the Yinuldushi. When Ben thinks a silver bullet would work, Wes corrects him, telling him that only happens in the movies. He explains that they must dip a silver pendant in the Arbol del Matrimonio cactus juice and place it against the werewolf's heart. Wes urges him that they needed to do it before the full moon or he will remain like that forever. Wes retrieves a silver pendant while Ben prepares a meal as he grows hungry. He immediately digs into the bowl, splashing milk and making a mess on Kai. When Gwen finally has info on the elusive cactus, Ben's body changes even further, his body more muscular and his head more wolf-like. Still hungry, Ben notices a rabbit from a distance. He chases after it and tries to dig it out from the ground, where he inadvertently hurls some dirt on Kai. Wes returns with Grandpa Max, who claims they've received reports that the NASA tracking station on the North Ridge was destroyed by what looks like a werewolf. It even almost ripped apart the guards stationed there. Wes claims it took down some satellite equipment with it. Ben recalls that the werewolf attacked and ripped down their receiver when they first met it. Wes suspects it's angry that technology has invaded what it considers sacred land. When Wes claims that time is of the essence, Kai and Gwen suggest they look for the cactus while the rest track down to wherever the wolf went. Ben, Grandpa Max, and Wes try to track down the werewolf again. Ben suggested howling into the distance, but when the werewolf responded, they headed toward the direction where the howl came from. When they arrive at the scene, Wes finds footprints on the floor and claims that he senses its presence nearby. Suddenly, eyes that glow an eerie greenish color creep up behind them. They point their weapons at it only to discover it is Ben, who now refers to himself as Ben Wolf. Wes claims they have no more time as the transformation is almost complete. When he checks on Gwen and Kai to see if they found the cactus, there is no cell service, so he decides to call them in another way. Meanwhile, Gwen and Kai continue their search in the Canyon de Shelly for the elusive cactus. Kai describes the surrounding as a sacred place where spirits go. Gwen calls it quits and claims she's ready to give up when she ironically sits on the cactus they were looking for. Having found the cactus when she was about to give up, Kai claims that the spirits must work in strange ways. When Kai discovers that they do not have cell service, they suddenly see a bright light from a distance and suspect the others must have used a flare. With no time to lose, the werewolf finds them first and lunges at them. Ben Wolf confronts it but is overpowered and pins him down at the ground. Grandpa Max tries to help Ben Wolf by attacking the werewolf with a branch, which proved ineffective. Ben Wolf tries to transform into XLR8, but notices that the Omnitrix isn't on his wrist. When it turns against Grandpa Max, Ben Wolf throws a rock at the werewolf to keep its attention on him. Gwen and Kai arrive just in time, and Wes uses the cactus juice on a silver pendant. Grandpa Max and Ben Wolf restrain the werewolf while Wes points the silver pendant at it. The werewolf breaks free from Grandpa Max's grip and throws him against Wes before he can even place it on his chest. Gwen picks it up and successfully places it on his chest, while Ben Wolf has it restrained long enough. Everyone was shocked to find out that nothing happened. The werewolf breaks free and runs off. Wes is puzzled why it didn't work. Kai suspects it didn't work because they're probably not dealing with a Yenel Dushi. Suddenly, Ben Wolf transforms again, but this time an Omnitrix symbol appears around his waist. Gwen claims their suspicions must be correct and that they are not dealing with a Yenel Dushi, but an alien werewolf instead. Gwen explains that Ben couldn't transform using the Omnitrix because he was already transformed into an alien werewolf. Ben wonders how it happened when he remembers the werewolf scratching the Omnitrix. It turns out that when it glowed yellow, the Omnitrix went into scanning mode. It seems that the Omnitrix absorbs DNA from any aliens who touch it. Ben Wolf sulks, claiming that if he only knew it took touching the Omnitrix to copy other aliens' DNA, he could have transformed into different species, even Vilgax. While they were still discussing the topic, the ground started to shake, to which Wes commented that they still had other things to worry about. Ben Wolf and the others tracked down the werewolf's footprints to a cave in the volcano. As they ventured deeper, Gwen noticed a foul smell. Wes explained that a sulfur smell indicates that there is lava, but wonders why, as the volcanoes in the area have been inactive for millions of years. Out of nowhere, lava spews from behind them, pushing them deeper into the cave. Grandpa Max suspects that the werewolf must have reawakened the volcano somehow. They later come to a cliff and the lava slowly creeps up on them. With no way back, they push forward and Ben Wolf leaps to the other side, carrying Gwen and Kai. Ben Wolf jumps back to help Grandpa Max and Wes reach the other side, but worries that he may not have the strength to carry them both. Suddenly his jaws open and he uses a sonic howl to thrust them to the other side. Wes and Grandpa Max make it, but Ben Wolf falls as the transformation is up, and he reverts back to a human. Ben barely clings to a wall, to which Grandpa Max helps him back up. Ben and the others finally find an exit, and when they are so close to getting out, the werewolf arrives and attacks them. Ben transforms into Cannonbolt to confront it. As the fight rages on, Cannonbolt accidentally breaks a wall and lava spews out. Wes claims they can't let the lava reach the village on the mountainside. Cannonbolt urges them to escape while he deals with the werewolf and seals up the volcano. A cave-in occurs that separates Cannonbolt and the werewolf from the others. The group runs towards the exit, where it collapses as soon as they get out. When Grandpa Max worries that something must have happened to Ben, Cannonbolt shows up from underground unharmed. With the lava being stopped and the werewolf defeated, Wes is thrilled to inform them that people are returning to the reserve. When Kai asks what it could have wanted, Grandpa Max claims that although they never found all the equipment it stole, he feels that the threat is over. Ben is thrilled at the idea of collecting aliens now that they know the Omnitrix can absorb aliens' DNA. As Wes pulls Grandpa Max aside for souvenirs, Ben takes one final attempt at wooing Kai. Unfortunately, she confronts him and claims that he's not her type. When she thought she was into him, Kai explained that she was only into him when she thought he transformed into a Yenel Dushi. She believed it would have been cool if she had trained and tamed him. This angers Gwen, who tells Kai off, claiming Ben's not some pet to be trained. Gwen says that she can't talk to his cousin like that, and claims she only gets to speak to him like that. Kai walks away after being told off by Gwen. Gwen tells Ben that there are lots of other girls he can get, and there are 2 words that will catch their attention. Immediately, Ben reacts and complains at Gwen for not telling him. Deep inside the cave, a strange machine was made from the stolen transmission equipment, and it suddenly activates. The end. Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos and make sure to subscribe and tap that bell icon to be notified about our latest videos. We'll see you next time.